So much that should be on my mind. So much left to do and we're back on the grind. Don't tell me you don't want 1 moment of peace. How about you stick around with me? I need a cold drink and some sun. What a day it's been and we're not even done. There's always time for R&R and play. When I'm with you, I feel like I have all day. Oh, we won't be here for long. Today, I'm sure this will be the highlight. Oh, we have quite an adventure ahead, but the highlight is this little time with you. Right now is the best time to be here. Everyone is at home or on their way there. When skies are blue, I know my favorite thing to do is nothing, especially with you. Here we could sing as loud as we want. No one but the summer sun can hear our song. Wide open space, meant for just us to embrace. This might be just my favorite place. But we won't be here for long. Today, I'm sure this will be the highlight. We have quite an adventure ahead, but the highlight is being here with you. Yeah! That hit the spot in all the right ways. The adventure is close to its end. Now I can't wait to do this every day.
Hello everyone and welcome to yet another Winchester Wednesdays. I'm your host Winchester 572 and we are back with yet another wonderful reading today. So yes, we have a few fun little things going on with trying to get people switched around for voice acting today, but yes, we shall still put on a good show for you today. So without further ado, let me get you introduced to the call. Hello, call.
Hello, Call. I'm Dad.
No.
Hello, Dad. I'm crazy.
Hello, I'm Dad.
So, anyways, starting off, we have my lovely co-host, Crazy Matt Captain.
Okay, I had my water bottle here just a moment ago. Where'd it go?
I don't know.
There it is. And here's another.
I'm going to say it's right there.
I have them. I can hit myself over the head with them.
I was going to say either that, or you could also check under a pile of papers on your desk where Double R's mic was for the longest time. Speaking of our lovely fanfic editor, Double R Forrest.
I just want to take this time to let everyone in the audience know that Winchester here has never seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I encourage you all to shame him for this transgression.
Nah, I've never seen it either. It's not really that great.
All right, it's a double shaming time for both Winchester and Razzle Dazzle. Shame.
Don't worry, I couldn't get through the was it movie 2 of the prequel piece?
It's just a walking simulator is all it is.
That is The Hobbit, and now it's triple shame. Triple dog shame, especially for CMC.
I got through the rest of the movies, but the
oh, so you've seen the original Lord of the Rings trilogy?
The Smaug?
Yeah, oh, yeah, the Hobbit trilogy. Yeah, we don't acknowledge that one very
It got
much.
3 movies. I thought it needed only
No,
2.
they did that just to. It was a cheap way to cash grab. They really messed up there. They did not need to do that. But no, if you saw the original trilogy, then you're good. You don't need to worry about the Hobbit trilogy. Just the
Well,
original.
that explains why there's no Silly Millie.
So okay, but we still need to shame the other two.
I mean, hey, I'm at least trying to watch it. So
How long have you been trying exactly?
I don't know, the last 4 or 5 months.
Hmm.
It's just one of those that's been on the watch list and it just hasn't come up yet. But anyways, speaking of being on the list but not coming up yet, we have our lovely stream secretary Razzle.
Hey,
Alrighty.
I
And last but not
think
least,
something cut off the words right after the start.
Yeah, I thought
well, let
Razzle
me
was
try that
capable
again. Hello.
there we go.
Okay, it was just a LO.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I guess
Okay.
Razzle's going for the simple approach.
Alrighty, and apparently we also have Ocean here. I don't know how much she's going to be able to say, but
What's up?
that works.
Damn, haven't seen that commercial in forever. But you got to drag it out more.
What?
You gotta do it a little bit slow. What's up? Like that.
I have a quick 15-minute break coming in here shortly, so I'm on my pre-break before my break, is what I call it. So yeah, I can talk right now.
Lovely.
Huh.
So what you're saying is we need to get started so that we'll be getting to you right as your break is ending.
A fair point.
We're not gonna get to your potential side of the character in time.
Oh well. We'll get her figured out. So
Obviously,
If needed,
I
I
said
can
last-
step in again.
I was
Yeah, at
gonna
least
say,
you
if
are
anything,
offering-
like last time, if for some reason I don't unmute and I don't say the line, it's because I have a call, because I am still working. So
yeah. Alrighty. Well, CMC is back up for that. We have that planned. So yes, and this is our entire crew for tonight. So fun. And I mean, I also want to get this started sort of quick here so that I can go out and do more door dashing and earn more money and things.
Door dashing.
hey, I have Walmart to do, so I have to go to Walmart. So yeah, if we could speed this up, that'd be great.
Well, I mean, we're going fairly fast. We're only 8 minutes in. So, anyways,
Let's roll.
anyways, without further ado, since I have guns pointed to my head, yes.
I don't have a gun sound effect.
I mean, I do, but anyways, yes. So back with our lovely reading. It's Dangerous Business Going Out Your Door by Jetfire 2012. Your lovely narrator for tonight will be myself, Winchester, and I will also be playing Applejack. Playing Rarity will be Razzle. Playing Rainbow Dash will be CMC. Playing Innis is Ocean. And playing Falalura is
Falalaria.
Valaria. Got it. Anyways, It's a Dangerous Business Going Out Your Door by Jetfire 2012. Chapter 15. Rarity stood in a great circle. She was a little foal again, a blank-flanked child, the grown-ups towering over her. But something wasn't right. Even big ponies weren't this dark. Shadows filled the air. Big ponies didn't have legs this thin either, and the eyes on the heads at the ends of their long, graceful necks did not gleam in the shadows, shining with power. The white unicorn's eyes fluttered open. That dream had made sense. At least, she thought it had. She had no idea what the creatures she had seen were. They hadn't been ponies, but there had been a clarity to this dream that the others had lacked. She had dreamt almost every night that she had been on this long and arduous journey. A few days ago, she had wondered if it was not without cause. She still wondered that, as much as Twilight Sparkle might deride her, Rarity could not shake the feeling that her dreams were trying to tell her something. Especially this dream just now. But what? She tried to recall exactly what had happened. She recalled being a foal. Her gaze drifted around the campsite at the base of the oak tree. Applejack was snoring gently, her dark red armor piled off to one side. Far to her right, Rainbow Dash was curled up, looking extremely peaceful. With so much...
Oh my goodness!
Huh? What? What's going on? The orange earth pony rapidly rose to her hooves and blinked the sleep from her eyes.
More another pony.
Dash, dear, what's that on you? What's all over your coat?
Huh? Applejack glanced over at Rainbow Dash. Golly, Rainbow, what is that? The sky blue Pegasus stood up. Thick lines of dark midnight blue were curling all over her lighter blue coat, bending into curls and spirals along her flanks, round her wings, into her feathers, down her legs, up her neck, and on her face. It made her look wild, like some tribal artifact. She swept her rose eyes briefly over her body, seeing if anything was amiss.
Oh, these? The pronghorns drew these on me. They're to help me control the lightning.
So you did it. I didn't hear you come back last night. You did it.
Oh, I guess.
Dash's mouth curled into a smile. She stuck out her tongue, and sparks suddenly danced across it. She retracted her tongue, spread her wings, fanned them out, and crackles of buzzing white electricity surged through every feather. She swished her rainbow-striped tail, and a flash of light made Applejack and Rarity blink. Dash was grinning flat out now.
But yeah, I did it!
Oh, congratulations, Dash.
Rarity stomped her front hooves on the ground in applause.
I'm positively giddy for you. I know how much this means to you.
Nice job, Rainbow. I knew you could do it.
Thank you, both of you. It feels good. It feels more than good, really. I want to tell you all about what happened, but I'm not sure I can describe it.
Well, then tell it to us over breakfast, Sugar Cube. Applejack reached down with her mouth and flipped her hat onto her head. She trotted out from the oak tree's shade into the golden grass. She began to bite mouthfuls from the grass as she moved, chewing daintily.
Well, to learn lightning, I had to get to my soul, right? If that makes any sense?
Rainbow flapped her wings and followed behind Applejack very low off the ground.
I went into the dreaming, which is sort of this,
She landed on her hooves, her eyes squinting and her head tilting as she thought. She thought with all her might, trying to find something to say what was appropriate.
Twilight would know how to describe it.
Should she try and be like Twilight? But Twilight wouldn't know anything about the dreaming. Maybe she should talk like the pronghorns.
The dreaming is kind of, it's being.
Being? Being what?
No, not being anything in particular. It's just the dreaming is.
Suddenly, she was filled with calm.
Talk about it in your own way. The dreaming is what's always there in everything. It's what everything has in common. Everything comes from it, and it's where everything goes. Does that make sense?
She gave a toothy smile. Applejack scratched her chin with a hoof. I don't rightly know. It makes sense to a point. But beyond that, it don't make sense.
I'm not sure it's supposed to make sense, but it's but it's at the heart of all things, and it's connected to lightning. Lightning comes from the dreaming. So the pronghorns taught me to reach into the dreaming with my soul. I learned how, and now I can make lightning.
Can any pony access this dreaming?
I think they could if they knew the right way to do it, but it takes some time in quiet and thinking.
The white unicorn nodded.
So now you can use this lightning, just like Firefly?
A warmth spread through Dash's chest.
Yep, just like fire.
Now, does this mean you can ride the lightning too? That's what you said them pronghorns could do. Dash didn't answer. She turned to the right and bounded a few steps away. She settled back on her haunches, pointed her nose at the sky. A look of tranquility passed over her face. Racing lines of blinding white began to swirl around her. She looked back to her friends and smiled.
Oh, yeah.
There was a burst of sizzling sound, and a crackling line of white lightning rose into the air where the sky blue Pegasus had presently sat.
This is so cool!
Her voice was lost to the wind as she rode higher and higher, blazing beyond the range of her friends' necks. A few seconds later, the lightning bolt fizzled out. Rarity kept her gaze skyward, as well as Applejack.
I do hope she's alright.
I got a feeling she knows what she's doing. It's not a feeling I always get with Rainbow, but I got it now. A crackling noise began to rise in the air. A point of white light blazed straight above them, growing brighter and brighter. The hairs on their manes and tails and coats began to stand on end. In the blink of an eye, the whole sky over their heads was white. Then there was a clap through the air, and a ring of lightning spread out less than a dozen feet over their heads, sparking and snapping as it expanded more than 100 feet before falling into nothing. Where the commotion had emerged, there was only Rainbow Dash, painted in dark blue swirls, flapping excitedly. She spiraled through the air over their heads.
Oh my gosh, 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 oh my gosh. Did you see that? Did you see that? I can do it! Oh wow, that was amazing. Did you know the sky turns black when you go really high up? You can see some stars and everything, just like at night. I would have gone higher, but I started to run out of air and it was so fast. I counted. It was less than 40 seconds to get up that high. Less than 40 seconds to come back down. This is amazing!
She whooped and cheered, landing in front of her friends and high-stepping excitedly.
I still have trouble believing it. I did it! Now I really am the fastest flyer in all of Equestria.
The last point made Applejack's eyebrow raise. You sure are, Rainbow, and that means you may be the answer to our prayers.
Huh?
Well, I notice you ain't mentioned your buddy Niles helping us with the Beneviolet.
Oh,
Dash's giddy expression changed to one of regret.
he had to go deliver a message for Princess Celestia in a land of camels, far away. He said he had to obey her first before he could help us. He did say that I could get the Beneviolet.
And you can, Rainbow, don't you see? You can ride the lightning so you can go as fast as them pronghorns. You can just blast up them Archback Mountains, find the Beneviolet, and get it back to Twilight.
But hold on a minute. Wasn't the whole reason you wanted to come on this trip so you could help me look for the flower? You said I wouldn't know what a Beneviolet when I saw one.
I said that at the start, sure, but Rainbow, I judged you wrong. If you can go to some higher level of being and make your soul proper to use lightning, you're observant enough to find a purple 5-pointed flower. You don't even need to take it back to Twilight on the lightning. You got saddlebags now, too. We'll give you Spike's fire, and you can send the Beneviolet back to him.
I suppose it would be better to get it done right now.
Verity agreed, but her heart wasn't seeing it. There was something holding back what should have been her excitement at seeing Twilight's cure close at hand. A whisper in her heart telling her this wasn't the right course of action.
But okay, look. Before we even started on this trip, I told myself that if we hadn't reached the Archback Mountains in 10 days, I would go the rest of the way alone. And today is the 10th day. And now I can ride lightning. So I should go on alone, but I don't want to leave you two. I can't. Not after all this. Birdie, Applejack, you've done so much with me. I don't want you two to be alone.
Applejack gave her a tender glance. Aw, shucks, Rainbow. I know how you feel. I grown real fond of you, and you too, Rarity. Both of y'all. I mean, I was fond of y'all before. Y'all really were my friends, but now.
I feel as though the two of you are more than friends now.
Applejack smiled at her. Well, that's just it. We've been through too much just to be friends now. She squared up her withers and put on a hard face. But the whole point of this trip, however much else we've gotten out of it, was to save Twilight Sparkle. If we can do that right now, we gotta.
I
And it's either Rainbow rides her lightning straight to the Archbacks, or we take our chances in there. She pointed to her right with her front hoof. Rainbow Dash and Rarity turned their heads in that direction. They were very close now. This close, so very close. The Shimmerwood stood poised at the feet of the Archback Mountains. The tapering arm of it swept out onto the fields to their left, and tall, broad-branched oaks and ash formed an inscrutable curtain straight ahead. Its depths could not be penetrated, not even by Dash's Pegasi eyes. But all three ponies could see something. No. See was the wrong word. It was like they were feeling, touching with their eyes. Sensation that did not come from sight creeping across their pupils. The forest seemed to emit a haze, a rippling waver, but not to their eyes. It was a haze across the mind. That place, I don't know if it's right or not. It ain't my place to say it, but it sure as shooting ain't normal. It's almost like the Everfree.
I want to see it.
Rarity, I just said we can't waste time there.
I know that, Applejack, but we've come all this way. We should at least give it a look, right?
We came all this way for Twilight. If we got a way of avoiding going through a big, confusing forest to help her, we gotta take it.
When you put it that way, I guess you're right. I mean, I can always bolt back to you girls and go back with you all the slow way.
Sure can. And we'll be mighty glad for the company. Rarity narrowed her deep blue eyes.
You lot can make whatever plans you choose, but I'm going in there. I have to.
What? And Applejack paused, then raised an eyebrow at her. Is this some sort of magic thing? Rarity paused in turn. She concentrated on her feelings, setting her mind on the pulsing, breathing power that filtered in and out through her horn on her head.
I think it's maybe. I can feel it more than I can rationalize it.
Hold on.
Sky Blue Pegasus unfurled her wings purely on a whim. She fluttered her eyelids closed. Rarity and Applejack watched in curiosity for a minute. Her eyes slowly came open.
I can feel it too. I can feel it in the dreaming. There's some kind of weird lightning around the forest.
Y'all ain't making me want to go in there any much more.
Well, you don't have to go in there. I shall go. I'll go alone if I must.
She turned and headed back for the campsite. Applejack and Rainbow Dash shared a confused glance. Rarity could be quite stubborn. This they were used to. But over something as unusual as a visit to a forest?
Rarity, wait!
Dash fluttered back to the burnt-out fire. The white unicorn was using her magic to suck the air from her pillow and blanket.
Rarity, hold on. I think you really should stay with Applejack.
And I think we should stick together, but apparently that's not happening, is it? I recognize Twilight's dire need, I do, but I don't see why we can't spare even a few hours at most to go see the forest.
Twilight's on a ticking clock, that's why. You wanted to help her the most. And now you want us to waste time going to some forest? Just because you feel like we oughta? This made Rarity stop and think. Her guilt was more than 10 days old now, so it did not sting as badly as it had at first. But it was still there, however. And she dwelt on it now. She still wanted to help Twilight Sparkle. She cared very deeply for the younger unicorn, so full of joy and innocent enthusiasm. Twilight didn't deserve to die a painful death that Hornrot had caused. She least deserved it. She found such happiness in magic that for her to be killed by mangled magic would be a vicious cruelty. Rarity was prepared to sacrifice much to save her, but something in her heart told her the best way forward was into the shadows of the Shimmerwood.
I feel as though we must for Twilight's sake. You think that sending Dash straight into Archback's Mountain will save Twilight faster, but I think that may not be the case. I know it's not.
Unseen by any of them, her triple gemstone Q mark briefly glowed. Applejack tilted her head back, narrowing her eyes. Rarity stared boldly at her, graceful brows lowered in seriousness. The orange earth pony gritted her teeth. All right, how about this? We're only about 2 hours from the Shimmerwood by my mark, and we can go there and just go in a ways and see what it's like inside. Maybe it's real easy to get through. Maybe it's open on the inside. If it is, maybe we'll think about going through it. If it's thick and hard to see through, or even if it just looks too big, we're turning around and leaving. The Rainbow can ride her Latin into the mountains. That sound good? Rarity nodded.
Thank you, darling.
Yeah, I know. Let's just get packed up. We can grab some breakfast on the way. She trotted over to her armor and began to slip on the first of the greaves.
Rares, what's going on? Is something wrong?
Rarity shook her head.
Dash, I must at least see this forest. Chalk it up to a unicorn's intuition.
I want you to be okay.
I am, Dash. But thank you for worrying.
You and Applejack can't do all the worrying yourselves.
Dash fluttered back to the fireside and wrapped her leather saddlebags around her flanks. Rarity nodded and resumed packing her own white velvet saddlebags. In short order, Applejack was armored up and all three of them were packed. So they set out, nipping off tips of grass blades along the way. Rarity once again brought up the rear, and she noted now that both Applejack and Rainbow Dash bore tokens of their journey. Applejack wore the dark red armor of Gildedale. Dash was covered in dark blue sigils of the Pronghorn Network.
Perhaps I'll be accessorized as well before the journey is done.
A glance ahead drove all thoughts of fashion out of her mind. The Shimmerwood loomed closer and closer. She sped up, galloping faster, wanting to see it all the more quickly. The trees ahead were now blocking... The trees ahead were now blocking out the mountains, rising with dark trunks to a canopy of wild, radiant green. It was the same green Rarity recalled seeing in the leaves of Ponyville 11 days ago, the bright green of early spring. They passed another lone oak tree, a harbinger of what was coming. Her horn began to tingle.
Hey, did the Dale ponies really not know about Princess Luna coming back?
They genuinely didn't seem to.
It's just that Niles and his friends were going to deliver messages from Princess Celestia telling about Princess Luna. They were going all over the world to all different countries. But you'd think she'd have sent them to Gildedale first, right?
I don't know. Maybe she forgot.
Or perhaps she wants to tell Lord Hammerhoof herself. Gildedale is a country of feather ponies, after all. I can certainly see the princess wanting to deliver such important news to her own kind in the flesh.
Neither of the others disputed this. They fell into silence again shortly after. Within an hour, they passed not a single tree, but a clump of them, a gaggle of ash sticking up from the grasses. Those grasses were also changing. In between the golden blades, pale green shoots were emerging, along with the occasional flower. A beautiful white rose bush appeared off to their right, rushing by in an instant, then Applejack slowed to a walk. The great wall of the Shimmerwood rose high before them. Less than half a mile away, Verity drew level with the orange earth pony.
What's wrong?
Yeah, I can feel it now. I feel it coming up through my hooves. Is that? She looked at Rarity, her green eyes wavering. Is that magic I'm feeling?
Yes, I've been feeling it for almost an hour now. It's a touch in my horn, the feeling I always get when I'm around strong magic. CMC.
CMC.
I didn't see another line, so I scrolled down too far. Yeah, I can feel it. It's mostly in my wings.
Still not sure this is a good idea. We got no idea what's in there.
Well, Lord Hammerhoof said it wasn't dangerous.
Well, the Dale pony's got a different sense of what's dangerous than we do, if you recall.
Yes, but they are much more wary of magic than we are. If they don't fear it, we shouldn't either.
Applejack's ears flattened against her head.
Applejack, please. All this trip, we've trusted in your judgment, and you haven't led us astray. Please, now, trust mine. I promise I won't lead you astray.
Applejack looked down at the ground, where green grass was quickly overtaking gold. Then she stopped walking entirely. Rarity and Rainbow Dash went a few steps further before they noticed and stopped as well. They turned and looked back at her. Applejack nodded forward. Lead on, Rarity. Dash gave Rarity a hopeful smile and walked backwards, filling the gap between the white unicorn and Applejack. Rarity looked ahead. For the first time, there was no pony leading her.
This way.
She accelerated to a trot, her friends following behind. It was barely mid-morning. The last short distance passed quickly, even at their easy pace, and Rarity scanned the forest for a suitable entrance. She found it in a gap between two great trees, oaks more massive than she had ever seen before. Dry, dead leaves of dull brown and pale orange covered the ground, small plants and shrubs shooting up beneath the shadows of the forest canopy. There was a faint whisper of wind from deep amidst the trees. The white unicorn increased her pace gently. The three ponies passed beneath the canopy's shadow. The sun of the golden field shaded for the first time in nearly a week. Her front hoof crunched on dead leaves and sunk into loamy soil. Another step and she was in. Rainbow Dash followed her, then, with some hesitance, Applejack. They had left Gildedale behind at last. Rarity peered ahead, looking for a path. Her sensitive skin could feel the air currents wrapping gently around the tall trees, the soft breezes that whispered around the branches of the dark oaks and white ashes. Sunlight filtered in through the gaps in the canopy, splashing the floor with green gold light. Rarity's horn was almost itching now. The magic hanging in the air between the trees surpassed anything she had ever felt. She could almost see it, like a ripple heat through an empty space. Her magic circuit was alive, power racing in and out of it, sending tremors down her spine. She could smell the magic. She could touch it. She could even taste it. the sticky sweetness at the back of her throat. Any pony else taste something funny? Rarity stopped and turned around.
I can. It's magic. A great deal of magic. This is more magic than I've ever felt in one place.
Can you see a way for us to go through?
Rarity turned around again. They had come in about 100 feet into the forest. Ahead of her, she could see perhaps a way further in, but it was narrow, shrouded in darkness. Every path that seemed initially to be straight was at some point blocked by a great tree, or else a shrub or hanging vines made the way uncertain.
I suppose there might be a way forward, but it could be a bit roundabout.
In other words, no straight path. Sorry, Rarity, but we can't waste time. If there's no easy way through, we gotta turn around and send Rainbow on her way. Applejack easily assumed leadership again. Rarity was deeply frustrated. She had felt certain they needed to go through the forest, yet no easy path presented itself. Applejack's argument was sound.
I suppose you're right. I'm terribly sorry about all this.
Think nothing of it. You were following a hunch, and I respect that, but we gotta do what we gotta do. She turned back towards the exit where the golden fields of Gildedale shone in the sun between the gaps in the trees. You should probably go ahead and give Spike your... She trailed off. A tingle was crawling up her backbone. Okay. Y'all feel that?
I can definitely feel something.
It's more magic.
Verity turned around and around, trying to spot a source beyond the blazing sensation in her horn.
It's more concentrated.
She closed her eyes, focusing on her horn. She sent out a pulse of sensory magic, a low-strength, long-range telekinetic grab, passed over and through everything for feet around her. She could feel more magic in its path. And more than that, she opened her eyes.
I don't believe we're alone.
Applejack and Rainbow Dash began to turn in circles of their own, scanning the lazy half-shadows for some sign of movement. Turning straight ahead, Applejack found herself recalling Ashtail and his proud insistence that an earth pony standing firm could not be moved. She dug her hooves into the soft earth, grinding them as far down as she could, while she gritted her teeth in determination. No pony noticed the 3 apples of her cue mark began to glow on either side. Her eyes widened. I see it!
What? See what?
Just for a second, just now. But I saw something. It was something hazy. I couldn't rightly tell, but it was walking. It was walking on 4 legs. Growling, Rainbow Dash fluttered forward in a burst of wings, landing hard in front of Rarity and Applejack. She raised her wings high, crackles of electricity rose through her feathers, while a thin line of lightning sparked between the leading edges of her wings.
All right, show yourselves. We know you're here. Come out.
The forest was silent for a moment, save the buzzing of Dash's wings. Come to think of it, it was entirely too quiet.
Stay your thunderbolts, Pegasus. We mean you no harm.
With barely a sound, they shimmered into sight. One after another, like strings plucked on a harp. First 1, then 2, then 4, then 8. Standing in front of and around these 3 ponies. Long, graceful legs stepped daintily through the underbrush towards them, not disturbing it in the slightest. Lean torsos, golden brown, were angled slightly upwards. Long, slender necks craned in their direction. Long, tapering heads ended in white muzzles and dark noses, sniffing the air gently. The 3 ponies were encircled slowly, affording them a glimpse of short tails, golden brown on top, shockingly white on the bottom, crawling under thighs to become white bellies. Atop the heads, long ears tapered elegantly into points. Large eyes with pupils of every vibrant hue stared at them keenly. And above those eyes, spreading like polished branches, pale gray antlers stretched out, curved up, forked into sharp tines. It took Rainbow Dash a moment to remember to turn off her lightning.
Sorry.
The sparks fizzled out. She smiled hugely. The deer for a moment said nothing. One of them, with scarlet eyes, stepped forward. Her body was covered in writing, words made of letters of some strange, elegant alphabet. Her antlers were particularly large and broad.
Welcome, ponies of Equestria. Welcome to the Shimmerwood. May Governin well met.
My Govanen.
There was a faint shimmer around most of the deer, and where before their bodies had been bare, they are now wearing armor, swooping pieces of gleaming silver that seemed to be made of single plates of metal. Their chamfrons wrapped as helmets around their heads, gaps cut into them, allowing for room in both their ears and antlers. 2 forward-pointed crests made of clear crystal adorned the chamfrons. As Rarity looked, she could see thin lines of crystal around the flanchards and the petrels, and the greaves as well.
I am Inez of the Periphery. Your coming has been much anticipated.
It has?
Ines nodded.
Our Lady wishes to speak with you. We have been told to bring you to her.
We're actually in a little bit of a hurry. We gotta get going.
The Shimmerwood is not difficult to traverse, if one knows the way. However, outsiders can frequently get lost in its depths. It is a very large forest. The magic that moves through its roots makes it very unpredictable, as well.
Which is actually why we're not gonna go through it. So, if y'all don't mind, thank you kindly for welcoming party, but we just really gotta... She turned around and Ines stood right in front of her, flanked by 3 armored deer on either side.
Our Lady wishes to speak with you. We hope you will accommodate her.
Applejack just said Marina here. Now, hi there. Let's get that again. Applejack just said we were in a hurry.
Our Lady knows of your quest. She has perceived your troubles from far off and knows you have the time to spare. What she wishes to say to you is of great importance for the success of your mission.
Applejack narrowed her eyes. She knows what we're doing? How?
Our Lady has great powers of sight.
Then she has to know we can't afford any delays.
This is no delay. I believe you will find it a necessity to speak with Our Lady.
How can she know that?
It is her gift to know. Come, you do wait more you deliberate.
The 3 ponies looked at each other for a moment, uncertainty in each one's eyes. What were they getting into here? Yet Ines said speaking with her lady would prove vital, and that lady clearly had knowledge of their journey.
I suppose we could.
Wonderful. Adao, please relieve our guests of their burdens.
One of the armored deer beside her, a buck with golden eyes, stepped forward. A light orange shimmer enveloped both of his antlers. Instantly, every buckle on all 3 pony saddlebags and every strap on Applejack's armor came undone. The mass of leather and canvas and velvet floated into the air, where it all vanished. Hey! Our stuff!
It has been sent ahead of you.
The orange earth pony grimaced in annoyance. Her head was now bare. Can I at least have my hat back? Innes's antlers shimmered. Applejack's hat reappeared on her head. Thanks. Innes took a step forward and vanished.
Come.
Her voice came from behind them. They turned and saw her standing deeper into the forest. 3 of the deer surrounding them also vanished and appeared beside Innes. Looking back, Rainbow Dash saw the other 4 take positions behind them. The deer in front began walking, as did the deer behind them. Caught up in the impromptu procession, Applejack, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash had no other option but to move as well, walking side by side between the 2 groups of deer. Their pace was steady, a gentle trot. The sunlight on the golden fields drifted away behind them, and soon all traces of Gildedale had vanished amidst the trees of the Shimmerwood.
Great, just great. Now we're stuck with deer.
What's wrong with that, Dash? Besides their rather rude insistence, of course.
Deer are weird. They spend all their time in the forest and no pony ever sees them, except when they do show up, and then they're always talking in riddles and giving out advice and using magic. They're never straight up. They always try to confuse you.
Have you ever met a deer before? I confess I haven't.
Well, no.
Fluttershy's had dealings with deer before. She says they're perfectly nice folk. That is, she says they're nice folk until you mess with their forest. In which case, they'll wreak terrible vengeance on you with their crazy powerful magic.
We also do have excellent hearing.
Innes was walking suddenly beside them. The 3 ponies drew back with a shout. Dash fluttered into the air in a panic. The deer swiveled her long, pointed ears towards them, blinked her scowled eyes, and smiled.
You have nothing to fear from us. As I have said, please, relax. You are safe here. Safer than you have been at any point in your journey.
She vanished, then reappeared in front of the deer leading them. It occurred to Rarity that this abrupt vanishing was their teleportation. It was not accompanied by the burst of sparkling magic that characterized unicorn teleportation. The deer were simply in one place one moment, and in another place another.
How elegant.
It made her reflect on her own inability to teleport, the thing that had started this whole great journey. Dash scowled.
Deer are weird.
Her friends, well, not inclined to use such language, could not help but agree with the main thrust of her assessment. The deer were truly ancient folk. Thousands of years before ponies could write or speak, the various deer species had filled much of the world with civilization, forging great kingdoms and building magnificent cities of crystal and precious gems. Their shared culture fueled by strange and powerful magics. Unlike ponydom, where complex magical skill was restricted to unicorns, every deer could use magic. Moreover, the average deer was far more powerful than the average unicorn. Their pair of many tinted antlers were able to channel and conduct much more magical energy than a unicorn's single horn. Because of this, they had not left many technological achievements behind, save their unparalleled ability to shape crystal and gemstone. Their cultural achievements were great. However, the deer folk's languages had formed the foundation of many modern languages, not just in Equestria, but around the world. Much of common law and accepted interspecies customs had been laid down first by the deer folk. Their artistic achievements were magnificent. Ancient deer art and sculpture renowned for its elegance, Deer had also invented the performing arts, with a particular love for the theater. Just last month, Rarity had attended an opera based on the ancient deer tragedy, Servadeus Rex. Yet, taken together, these were but echoes of the past, and faint ones at that. There was much about the ancient deer that most ponies did not know. Due largely to one thing every pony did know about them. One day, for reasons no pony fully understood, the deer had gone to war with each other. It had been a terrible conflict, spreading across the earth, lasting decade after decade, unleashing even more powerful destructive magic. And when it was over, the whole world lay in ruins. And most deer had wiped themselves out. Those who had survived had withdrawn deep into the world's forests, and in this age they were rarely seen. Dwelling on this, Rarity supposed she could consider herself lucky. There were rumored to be deer in the Everfree Forest, but nothing like the organized armored-wearing whitetails now escorting them. Twilight Sparkle would probably be very jealous when she found out. As a student of magic, she was naturally interested in the deer and their peculiar spells. Not sure why I messed that one up. She would give much to question a substantial deer population, to plumb their practical magical knowledge. All Rarity wanted from them was to hear what this lady of theirs had to say. She knew there was a reason she had insisted on going into the Shimmerwood, though she could not say how she knew. I do reckon we shouldn't have come in here.
Yeah, whose idea was that?
I am sorry, everybody, but I think this may work out for the best. You heard what that doe said. The lady has some information for us. Maybe she wants to help us.
She could have helped us just fine by letting us leave and let Rainbow go over the forest.
Well, there's no going back now. We ought to at least see what she has to say.
They moved deeper and deeper into the forest. The light from the sun through the trees began to grow fainter, the surrounding space darker and quieter. It grew harder to see for a while. Innes and her armored companions fading into the gloom just a few feet ahead. The light from above grew dimmer. Glancing off to the side, Dash swore she saw eyes gleaming in the darkness, moving easily through the gloom of the trees. And then seeing began to get easier. She began to see Rarity's tail ahead of her again, and the faint outlines of the deer beyond the white unicorn. She looked up and her eyes widened. The sunlight hadn't come back through the canopy. In fact, the sunlight was completely gone. The canopy, a solid black ceiling hundreds of feet overhead. The light which lit and tinged her vision came from thousands of tiny points of light, glowing pinpricks hanging in the air between the highest branches of the trees. They bathed the forest's empty space in a warm golden glow.
Whoa.
Applejack and Rarity looked up as she spoke, just as amazed as she. Further and further they traveled, the constant golden light and deep shadows distorting their sense of the passage of time. When Applejack looked up, she could see walkways strung between the thick branches of the canopy. Glancing to her right, she was compelled to crane her neck further. Deep in the trees, a great twisting shape of dagger-point crystal hung down from two strong branches, its sheer surfaces dull gold in the twinkling light. Deer, tiny against the great structure, stepped in and out of it, the occasional line of bright light racing up its exterior. What looked like vines of crystal began to hang down from the branches of the canopy, transparent lines twinkling in the golden light. The three ponies walked underneath them, and Applejack felt the hairs on her back rise up. She looked to the left and saw another crystal dagger hanging down from the trees. There seemed to be one behind it as well, deeper in the forest. At this point, the procession turned a quarter, and the tree's branches grew lower, forming a sort of tunnel. The lights drew close overhead. The world was brighter at the tunnel's exit, a radiant bath of gold that so contrasted the dimness of their present surroundings that made them squint. They drew closer and closer. The light got brighter and brighter. They exited the tunnel, and the three ponies were further amazed. A great white oak of incomprehensible size sat in the middle of a small lake. The air gleamed gold and rippled, eddies and currents of wild magic dancing in space. The lake was a sheet of gold, completely undisturbed. Around the oak's branches twisted clear tendrils of crystal, Rising around the trunk was a four-spired crystal tower, glistening gold and flashing with bursts of light. Occasionally, a pulse of light would travel down the spires, down the tower's crystal surfaces, through the crystal roots splayed out from the tower's base, and into the lake, where it would spread out over the surface of the water until it reached the shores with a silent tingle. Rarity, Applejack, and Rainbow Dash could once again taste and feel immense magic. Innes drew to a halt before a crystal landing. She and the three deer with her stepped to the sides, parting and allowing the three ponies a clear view. At first they were at a loss, but silently a crystal bridge grew out from the landing on the island in the lake's center. It knitted itself to the landing on the shore, and on the island, in between the two spreading wings of the great tree's massive trunk, a meshing of crystal came apart. The whole forest, for a moment, held its breath. From the depths of the crystal in the trunk emerged an enormous deer. Ducking its head slightly to fit through the opening in the tower, it stepped across a small island and onto the crystal bridge, where it slowly moved towards them. It was massive, far larger than any of the whitetails they had seen, nearly as big as Princess Celestia. Its long, powerful legs, graceful torso seemed to be colored pure gold, and with an underbelly of white. Its neck was not as long, comparatively, as the smaller deer's, but the smoothness of its features, the length of its ears, it seemed to be a female. She had an enormous pair of antlers on her head, each one of them stretching broader than the average pony was long, filled with even more than a dozen points altogether. A streamer of white silk was woven between the antlers, the long ends of which draped down from either antler almost to her hooves. A crystal circlet adorned the top of her head as she drew up to them. Innes and the other deer bowed low. Verity did the same, followed by Applejack and Rainbow Dash. The deer rose, and so did the ponies, by which time the great female stood quietly before them. Her eyes were dark. She smiled and spoke with a voice ringing of crystal.
Applejack, Rainbow Dash, Rarity of Ponyville. Welcome. I am Falalaria. Thank you for coming so far to indulge me, Bariarai, in the home of the deer.
Innes stepped forward, and she and Falaria began to speak in the swelling, flowing language, of which the three ponies had so far heard snippets. Verity, however, could occasionally hear words in another language, this one sharper and less graceful. Finally, Falaria nodded, and the white tails turned around in their midst.
They go to prepare your places for the night. You will sleep in our midst, where your safety is assured. Tomorrow, you will be escorted through the Shimmerwood to the feet of the Archback Mountains.
Begging your pardon, my lady. Applejack just remembered to take off her hat. But we're real grateful for your offering to put us up for the night, but we gotta get to the Archback Mountains as soon as possible. Our friend's life depends on it.
Twilight Sparkle, you mean?
The three ponies' eyes bulged.
I know well of your quest, Applejack. I have been watching you from afar for some time now, and I know what you seek. I also know that you will be able to spend the night here free from worry, including from worry over your friend.
How? How can you know?
Because it is within my power to know.
Do you mean your magic?
Verity's horn was tingling fiercely with all the power in the air.
It is a magic gifted to me, perhaps to me alone. As you may have surmised from my stature, I am not a full white-tailed deer. Half my blood is red deer, and it was of old the special talent of that race to see things far off, both in space and in time. When I fix my gaze, I can see anything I choose across the world. Further, I can look into the past as well as into the future. But I am also one half whitetail, and it is their special gift to always detect the truth of things, no matter how hidden it may be.
She stepped closer until she was right before them.
Just as these two deer species combine to make me, so too do their magical talents combine in my spirit. The red deer's long gaze and the white-tailed deer's detection of truth unite to grant me near-perfect sight of the future.
Rarity had the composure to keep her jaw from dropping. The claim Falaria had made was outlandish, particularly to a friend of Twilight Sparkle's. The Lavender Unicorn's meticulous and empirical approach to magic ruled out the existence of many of the more superstitious traditions in Equestria. Fortune telling, perhaps most of all. It seemed that every 2 or 3 weeks, Twilight would read or hear something that would cause her to repeat her insistent lecture that prophecy and foresight were impossible, that any pony who claimed to practice them was either a liar or a lunatic. Yet, the golden hind standing before them seemed to be neither. Valaria lowered her head as she drew closer. The three ponies noticed that her eyes were not as dark as they had thought. Hundreds of tiny stars twinkled in the black orbs, making each one a small slice of the night sky. She smiled at them.
I see inside your minds. You think my claim impossible, or perhaps you think it unsettling. That is often when I inform other creatures of my gift. They think the existence of highly accurate prophecy means the future is fixed, that all events to come are already preordained. That may be, but I have no conception of the plan.
She turned around.
Walk with me, please. I would speak with all of you in private.
She began to stride down the crystal bridge. With some hesitance, Rarity followed her, then Rainbow Dash, and then finally Applejack. They crossed the bridge in silence, their hoofsteps barely ringing on the crystal surface. Valaria's silk tresses wavered in the air behind her. Reaching the small island, they strode between two enormous tree roots to the crystal mesh, opening into a gleaming stairway. The three ponies followed the golden hind to the tower, crystal knitting itself shut behind them. Up the broad steps they went, until they arrived in a large crystal chamber, with clear walls cut into bookshelves and a central crystal bleh, and a central crystal chimney, in which brilliant green flames burned long and tall with no visible fuel. Falaria's antlers shimmered white, and all three small crystal daisies rose from the floor. There was a much larger one nearby, on which a simple platform of wood was raised. Here Falaria stopped and settled, turning to face them. The three ponies took their proffered places. The crystal was not hard, but soft and soothingly cool to the skin. Falaria looked serenely at them, her starscape eyes half-lidded. The ponies were struck by her presence. She irradiated warmth and power. It was a little like being near Princess Celestia. Rarity at last spoke.
My lady Philalia. I'm not even going to try.
Falalaria. Think deck the halls.
Please tell us more about your gift of prophecy. If you know anything about our friend Twilight Sparkle, you will know she's told us that's all impossible.
Prophecy as such, which involves hearing of the future from the voice of a god, is very rare, though not impossible. The sight I possess is even rarer, but it is not prophecy. It is, as I said, the result of the combination of gifts from two deer species. All events, through the whole of time, come about through choice and circumstance. One of you is faced with a choice, so you make one of several available choices. From this choice, other choices arise, and you make your choices there as well, and so on into an endless sequence of choices. These networks of choices are what I see. However, I can also innately detect truth. This is what makes my sight near perfect. When I bend my gaze upon a creature or an event, I can instantly discern the true nature of everything I see. This makes me able to know with a high degree of accuracy which of any available choices are going to be made. It extends even to the natural world. I can see the true nature of storms and trees and mountains, and know how they will react when they confront the events that will befall them.
So, you can look at us and see our future? Our real future? Not just what could happen, but what will happen?
Lothlorien looked gently at her.
Yes, almost. Recall that the future I see is built on choices. My sense of truth allows me to know which choices you are most likely to make. However, it is still you who must make the choices, and though you are highly likely to make choices that most correspond with your true nature, your actions are not forced. You could still surprise me, but it is likely you will not.
How often have you ever been surprised?
Rarely.
Applejack's green eyes stared intently into Lothlorien's, trying not to waver at the sight of the stars there. You do a real good job of seeing the future, then.
Yes.
If that's the case, then tell us. Will Twilight Sparkle die? Lothlorien did not immediately respond. Her eyelids closed lower, and she bowed her head. Only the crackle of green flames faintly filled the air. Rarity gave Applejack a nervous glance. The orange earth pony stared hard at the golden hind. She finally raised her head.
No, she will not.
That's great.
She came very close, however.
This startled the three ponies.
She would have died if you had not chosen to venture into the Shimmerwood, because you would have sent Rainbow Dash to the Archback Mountains, bereft of the knowledge I wish to share.
Knowledge?
I was sweeping my gaze across the fields of Gildedale a week ago, and I beheld you three making your way west. Curious, I bent my sight upon you, and so discerned your own histories and the history of your quest. I then looked upon Twilight Sparkle in Ponyville. Lastly, I looked into your futures, and I saw her doom there. I knew her only hope was for you to meet me, for who else could tell you all her present state and the extent of the cure she needs?
Present state?
Wait, what's wrong with Twilight?
Her horn rot is advancing very quickly. It feeds greedily off her enormous magical power. It will soon reach her brain and her magic circuit, and there it will kill her. It is very intense, more so than your friend Zakora recognized at first. But she was correct when she said that only the Beneviolet can cure Twilight Sparkle in time.
So it can cure her?
Yes, provided you select the right one. When Beneviolets first flower, their petals are a sharp and violent purple. This is also when their magic is most potent, so it is when their healing abilities are the strongest. Over a few weeks, they fade to a duller, darker purple, and in the process they lose the full extent of their curative powers. Twilight Sparkle's hornrod is now in such a state of advance that only a young Beneviolet, with a flower of sharp and shocking purple, will have the strength to cure her. An older, duller flower will not have enough magic to fully tame the rot.
The ponies exchanged glances filled with terror. The book had said nothing about varying intensities of magic.
Are you sure of this?
We have much experience with the Beneviolet here. We use it often in our healing salves. We are well aware of its fading potency. Also, Twilight must eat the flower quickly. A Beneviolet begins to lose its healing abilities within hours of being uprooted. In 4 days' time, its powers are completely gone. But I know you carry the magical transmitting fire of your friend Spike the Dragon, and that as well. You can send the flower to Twilight Sparkle instantly. If you select a young Beneviolet, and the flame sends it to her in a moment, and she eats it as soon as it arrives, she will be fully cured of her horn rot.
She smiled.
And all this you three will do. I can see it.
Thank you so much.
We didn't know nothing about needing a special color. Applejack was close to shaking with fright. If they had sent Dash up to the mountains, and she had picked the wrong color of flower,
I knew you didn't, which is why I contrived to lure you here. I could not guarantee any scout of mine would reach you, so instead I sought to draw you in. Specifically you, Rarity.
Me?
The Shimmerwood's ambient magic is normally confined to the strict limits of the forest, at the request of Gilderdale. However, when I saw you drawing close, I stretched it out into western Gilderdale, where I knew Rarity, at least, would be able to sense it. I know unicorns are drawn to sources of magic. I foresaw that when she felt the magical field with her horn, she would insist on venturing into the wood. From there, I only had to set Enos and her watch deer to wait for you. Cloaked, of course, so as not to alert you immediately. I wanted you to enter the wood of your own accord, and only then to be reassured of your safety.
but Applejack wasn't sure how she felt about the Golden Hind reading their intentions so accurately. This was not what caused her to speak, however.
Yes?
I saw your deer. It was when I was putting my hooves deep in the dirt, standing firm like Dale ponies. Just for a second, I saw one of them walking. Or at least I thought I did.
Did you?
She did. I remember her saying so.
Our cloaking spells are normally impenetrable, even to other deer. I wonder why.
Lothlorien trailed off, her eyes half closed, then opened again.
Ah, it slipped my mind. You bear the element of honesty, Applejack. It is no surprise that you could see them.
How did you...
I have seen your history, remember? I know all about your accomplishments in defeating Nightmare Moon. Thank you. Thank you so much for healing dear Luna's soul. I know how much it means to Celestia, though she would never tell any of her subjects. You did no small thing by saving the world from eternal night, of course, but giving Tia her sister back was a great good in itself.
You know Princess Celestia?
Oh yes. Celestia is a very old friend of mine. We met when we were both young, both learning magic from the same convocation of dear elders. She was a few years older than I, so she was well along in her studies when I first arrived. Nevertheless, we hit it off splendidly. Luna had not been born yet, so she was feeling very lonely. Being the only hybrid deer in the Citadel, I felt quite lonely myself.
Wait, Princess Celestia learned her magic from deer?
Yes, as did Luna. You must realize that when Celestia and Luna were young, unicorn magic was not systematized. It was still wild and chaotic. The deer had the most complex and structured magical system in the world at the time, so the elders took it upon themselves to train the two new goddesses in the use of their power. Except for raising the sun and moon, of course. They've always done that instinctively.
Her starscape eyes looked down.
When you return to Equestria, could you please pass on my best wishes to Celestia? It's been so long since I've seen her, and I do miss her terribly.
Sure will, my lady. However, I'm still mighty keen to hear about the elements of harmony.
Of course. The elements of harmony are older than ponydom. The deer folk knew of them long ago. Those creatures closely aligned with the element of honesty have in the past been gifted, I suppose, by the element, and are blessed with special magic. Since you are the living representative of the element of honesty, it's expected that you would inherit its gift. Applejack, you have the same skill the white-tailed deer have. You can detect truth no matter how thoroughly it is hidden. This also means you can see through any illusion.
Me? Feeling shocked, Applejack glanced at the floor, feeling simple and small. But I'm no pony special, I'm just a hard-working farmer. I ain't never fiddled with magic.
Oh no? Have you not noticed your skill at identifying falsehood? How easy it is for you to tell when some creatures tell a lie?
Well, she could always tell when Apple Bloom was lying, and Big Macintosh, and Rainbow Dash, and Caramel, who was supposed to be a very good liar. That's just me having a nose for fibbing. Ain't the same thing as having truth detecting magic. And if I could always see through illusions, then how come I never done it before now?
You have been the embodiment of honesty since you were young, so the magic has always existed within you. Uniting with the other 5 elements of harmony has amplified it, so you have begun to experience its effects more strongly. However, even now, you still have only the smallest use of it. You would have to train the magic and practice it regularly to wield its full power. The reason it activated at the entrance to the Shimmerwood, I think, is twofold. First, because you were soaking up the magic in the air of the forest, and that was granting your honesty magic a boost in power. Second, you chose at that moment to stand firm, as you were taught in Gildedale. Standing firm is the most concentrated form of Earth Pony magic. That is when the magic in you flows most strongly. Those 2 factors combine to grant you more use than normal of your magic of honesty, allowing you to see through my dear's cloaking spell.
Awesome! Hey, I have the element of loyalty. Does that give me any special magic?
I believe so. Indeed, I think all the elements of harmony grant gifts to those closely aligned with them. As I recall, the element of loyalty gave us gift related to inspiring others.
And Rarity has the element of generosity.
Falarius turned her head to Rarity. The white unicorn felt the hind starscape eyes staring intently at her.
Yes, she does. What that element's gift was escapes me at the moment.
Applejack hid her surprise well. That had been a lie, but she couldn't think why Falalaria would tell it.
I shall answer your further questions as you like. However, I believe our dinner is ready for the evening. I have said all I wish to say in private, so if you will follow me, we can talk on the way.
She rose, and the 3 ponies rose with her, following her down the crystal steps and through the entrance to the small island. The crystal bridge grew across the golden lake once more, and Falalaria walked across it. Applejack, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash following in her wake.
So, hey, what was Princess Celestia like when she was younger?
Oh, Tia was a great troublemaker. Once she learned even the most basic magic, she would use it to get into all sorts of mischief, breaking into forbidden sections of the Enclave, listening in on private conversations, playing pranks on our instructors and even some of the elders. She always dragged me along because, to use her words, you look more honest than me. And in fairness, I did. That may be why I never got caught and she did.
Pretty sneaky. And the princess was a prankster! And she got in trouble?
Yes. It seemed half the times I met up with her she was coming from some punishment or quiet time. But she didn't get punished nearly as much as she should have, not for all the trouble she caused. More than half the time she could talk her way out of the consequences. She had a silver tongue even then. Of course, it helped her that nothing she ever did was mean-spirited or cruel. She was a troublemaker, but never a bully. I was an assistant to one of the old elk when Luna first showed up, and I recall the elders were on pins and needles waiting to see if she was anything like her sister. Fortunately for their wary hearts, Luna shared Celestia's kindness and curiosity, but not much else. Luna was much quieter and far more dedicated to her studies.
They reached the end of the bridge and turned right. Headed around the lake, the 3 ponies had to move at a brisk walk to keep up with the great deer's long strides. They headed down a tunnel of low branches. Different than before, and at the end of it, they appeared in a clearing in which a large platform of dark wood sat, and on it was a long crystal table on short legs. Cushions were arranged all around it. Deer, some armored, some wearing crystal circlets, some completely bare, were emerging from the trees into the clearing. The ones that were garbed had their garments vanish as they approached the table.
I thought there would be more deer than this.
There are many more that live in the Shimmerwood. However, they live and work and study in shifts, so not all of them are awake or free at the same time. Moreover, I dine personally with only some of them every day. I see a different group every day of the week.
A large cushion lay at one end of the table.
That is my space, and you three will sit with me.
The white tails around the table, so much smaller than their great lady, rose to their hooves as Falaria approached. She walked slowly down the length of table to the end, where she stepped onto the platform, and stopped. Towering over the low crystal tabletop on her long legs, Rainbow Dash, Rarity, and Applejack saw two open places on either side of her, and one further free place second from the left. Rarity took her place at Falaria's right. Dash was on her left, while Applejack stood next to Dash. When all the places were filled, Falaria spoke in the flowing language. All the deer bowed their heads, as did the ponies, while Applejack removed her hat. When Falaria finished speaking, she reclined on her cushion, and the rest of the table followed.
Lady Falaloria, have you ever visited Equestria?
Many times, yes. Celestia often invites me to stay with her. I cannot always accept her offers, busy as I am administering the Shimmerwood and seeing to my own folks' needs. But I try to visit when I can. It has been more than 50 years since I was last able to visit. As I said, I do long to visit her, not to mention seeing Luna again. That will be a treat. I like Equestria very much, not the least because of its comfort with magic. The Dale ponies are very good neighbors, and the lords of the Dale have always been courteous, but I recognize their discomfort with us. However kind they know us to be, their kingdom has shunned magic, and we are a very magical race.
Couldn't you move? There's tons of big forests in Equestria. If you and the princess know each other so well, she'd probably love to have you living in Equestria.
I know Celestia would like that very much indeed, but my dear are well settled here. We have been here for more than 700 years, and they are comfortable here. I couldn't just ask them to uproot their lives and their families for the sake of my personal desires. And even if I were willing to do that, it is more than familiarity that keeps us where we are.
What more? The Golden Hind paused for a moment.
There are elements beyond the archbacks, which our magic keeps at bay. The Shimmerwood serves as a bulwark against such things. I would prefer not to speak of them.
At that moment, their places shimmered. Crystal plates appeared, filled with noodles covered in light green sauce. The plates were garnished with, of all things, pansies. The deer gathered around the table quickly and began to eat, using their magic to twirl the noodles into manageable bites. Verity was about to join them, but she saw her friends staring helplessly at their plates.
Ah, lady, my friends have no magic which to eat.
Forgive me. I should not have forgotten.
Her antlers shimmered white, and a pair of forks with white silk straps looped them around each of the around them appeared at each non-magical pony's place. Applejack and Rainbow Dash stuck their hooves through the white straps, allowing them to lift their forks and swirl the noodles. Verity, satisfied, took a bite of her own pasta. It had a fresh and slightly tangy taste, but not disagreeable. Warm naan floated in the crystal baskets down the table, and Dash happily availed herself to the delicious flatbread. Milady, there was one other time that it seemed like I was seeing through an illusion. who is also on her journey, right at the start.
Oh? I started following you just in Gildedale, but I did look back on your earlier escapades.
Her eyelids half closed for a moment, then opened.
It would be at the cave in the mountains, yes?
Oh yeah, when we heard that singing, I couldn't stop listening to it. It was so beautiful. Rarity couldn't stop either. Applejack had to drag us out.
Not to mention, she collapsed the cave. It was so very beautiful when I first had it, but after the cave had collapsed, it was horrible.
Yes, that was another use of your magic from the element of honesty. The extreme stress of the moment helped trigger it, and you also stood firm without meaning to. Your hooves were dug into the earth, and you were firm in your purpose. That helped channel the magic. As to what was singing, perhaps it was a siren, but they don't typically dwell in caves. I know that old Balrogs could enchant their voices to bewitch listeners, but only the originals, the ones created by Lord Carcherod himself.
Have you remembered any more about the element of loyalty, or what about some of the other elements of harmony?
I would need to consult my text on the matter. It has been some time since I studied. I can prepare something by morning when you set out, if you would like.
Oh, don't take too much trouble on our account. You've done real good just telling us everything you have, not to mention putting us up for the night.
After all your hard journeying across Gildedale, I knew you would enjoy the hospitality. I wanted you to sleep safely for one more night before you reached the Archback Mountains. Is Ocean here, or is she on call?
She might be on call.
My lady, now that our guests have arrived, perhaps you could regale us of their journey for which you have seen.
Now that they have arrived, I think it would be best if they told it themselves.
The three ponies needed little persuading. With Applejack taking the lead, they launched into the story of their journey, Rarity and Rainbow Dash adding their own observations. Dash took over the bulk of the narrative when the subject of the pronghorns raised its head, and even Rarity and Applejack listened with wonder as the Skyblue Pegasus's account of the dreaming.
I have wondered the dreaming before, as have most of my dear. For you to navigate it so skillfully without complex magic is quite a feat, however.
I had a lot of help.
This surprised her friends. Dash would not have missed the chance to boast.
I learned to listen to the guidance of the ones with.
I should think that is as important a lesson as mastering control of lightning.
Soon their plates were empty, and with a shimmer of magic they vanished. Falalaria stood, and the other deer stood as well.
The hour grows late, though perhaps you ponies cannot tell. I must return to my tower to check the Shimmerwood's boundaries, and I would see you get a good night's sleep before your journey tomorrow. Ines, if you will show them to their prepared places. Ouch.
Very well, my lady.
The golden hind turned back to the three ponies.
I take my leave of you now, but if you are troubled by anything in the night, do not hesitate to call on me. All my dear have such liberty. I shall be easy to find.
Moving backwards, she stepped down from the platform and turned to go.
Good night, Applejack, Rainbow Dash, and Rarity. Pleasant dreams.
She began to stride slowly towards the trees at the edge of the clearing. Though with her long stride it was a little time before she passed between the two dark trunks and out of sight. Ines turned to them.
Come.
They followed her away from the table, into a gap between massive trees. the golden pinpoints of light still glowing gently high overhead. They wound through the forest, passing another dagger of crystal hanging low from the 2 branches.
Miss Inez, do you know what those crystal structures are?
They are magical amplifiers. Crystal is a powerful conductor of magical energy, particularly when it is shaped as we craft it. They allow us to project our control through the whole of the shimmerwood, regulating it and keeping it free of danger. Otherwise, the wild magic here could attract untamed and dangerous creatures.
We got a forest like that back home near Ponyville. The Everfree Forest, it's called. It's got all manner of critters. They were led to a section of the forest where the light seemed dimmer. Great hanging bowers of crystal descended from the trees, huge gourd-shaped structures 2 stories tall hanging low to the ground. One of particular size emerged before them, and its antlers shimmered orange, and it descended until they could step onto it. Inside were 3 futons covered in simple white sheets with gray blankets. The crystal was vaguely transparent, and in the upper level, the ponies could see their equipment and armor neatly stacked.
We shall have baths ready for you in the morning. In the meantime, as Our Lady said, do not hesitate to call on her if you are distressed in the night.
Why ever would we be distressed?
Our Lady's own protection, and the protection of the whole of the deer, is great, but it does not always protect the mind from wild magic during slumber. Dark dreams and portents can sometimes result. Very rarely, an attack happens, but Our Lady knows such things instantly, and she will be with you in your dreams to protect you if it occurs. So until the morning, good night.
Her antlers shimmered again, and a long, dark curtain was drawn across the bower's entrance. Dash flopped back on the central futon.
Whew, what a day.
I gotta say, it sure was worth it coming here after all. Applejack took off her hat and pulled back the covers on her thin mattress. We could have been in real trouble if we hadn't known about the colors on the Beneviolet.
I'll say. And Lady Lothlorien has been so forthcoming in all other respects. She told us all the information about the elements of harmony, even.
Applejack hesitated at this. Should she tell Rarity that Lothlorien had lied about knowing the element of generosity's gift? But what could she say after that? She would just make Rarity suspicious to no effect. Applejack had not detected any malice behind the lie. If it meant no harm for them, that was non-essential information. The Orange Earth Pony was content to let the Golden Hind keep her secrets, for whatever reason she had. I wonder about how I would go about doing that magical exercising she was talking about.
You want to learn to be a truth detecting machine?
Could be mighty useful. Heck, it's been useful already. Twice now. And I do like not being fooled by nothing.
One more thing in the morning to ask her, I suppose.
Rarity pulled the covers close around her.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Dash threw her covers over her body. Applejack, now out of habit, tipped her hat over her head. Good night, y'all. The gentle silence surrounding the wood was the best sort of lullaby, and the bower was dim. The 3 quickly fell asleep, where Rarity dreamed anew.
And we're done.
Futons! I had to reread that a few times to make sure I said the right thing. Futons!
Yes, croutons.
Photon!
Yes, we are the deer of great magical power. We have crystals all over. We are in a very, very lovely place. And you are sleeping on futons. There's a pull-out couch also, if you desire that.
Just in
Oh,
case someone extra comes in.
pretty much.
And although I have a near perfect sight of the future, I'm actually not going to tell you if that happens.
Oh.
Usually, mentioning something like that causes some very uncomfortable confrontation.
La 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 Laria.
Lothlorien, Lothlorien. Yep.
Oh dear. Yes. That was very interesting there towards there and that. I was gonna say, not knowing the quote unquote source material, it seemed like Ocean was pretty well on point with that character. At least from my
Wait,
mind.
what? You were talking about me?
Yes.
Not
Sorry,
knowing does.
I was sending a voice message to one of my coworkers because, like, right at the end there, part of the reasons why I was missing my thing was because literally, like, I was off at 9. All right, at 8:59, I got a message from one of the supervisors saying, "Hey, you're not supposed to be in this specific status because of." Or because you're not scheduled for it, because I used a different status when I would have to read. And I was like, shit. and, and then literally, like, I played it off like I had just read, like, I didn't see her message and I signed off for the night. Like,
Ah.
oh, shoot. No, it's good. It's like she sent me the message at 8:59 and I was off at 9. I think she thought I was there till 9:15, which is not right at all. So don't send me a message at 8:59 if I'm off at 9. Like, no.
Yeah. Well, we don't
So I
want
was
to get you into any trouble.
no, it'll be fine. I can already easily play it off with my, "Oh, like, I'm so sorry. I thought I was in ready status. My bad. I was looking at something and wasn't paying attention. My apologies." Like, I can easily play it off. It's no big deal. I'll be fine.
Okay.
Also, tune in next time to find out what Rarity is supposed to give Spike.
Yeah, pretty sure that was supposed to be like give Spike's flame, and it's supposed to be a
Yeah, because they had this flame in the jar. The
yeah,
bottle.
but because it didn't have the S, because that's how the writer did it. It's weird because you need the feel of the spikes
Yeah.
in the fade off there.
You mean like an apostrophe?
Yeah, an apostrophe at least, but yeah.
It needs to be
I'm
more
just annoyed
possessive.
that someone texted my phone right as I was doing that. Cool. Because I heard it ping and I saw my mic light up.
Yeah. Well, I went my mic or my phone was pinging, and I was sitting there like, and I was like one hand reaching over to go and mute it while I'm reading the other line.
Oh, this was fun.
Hey, I was clocking out during those last couple lines. So I had to, like, shut down my computer, sign out of everything while looking away from the computer. So yeah. No, it's all good. I'll be fine. Anyway.
But yeah, this is definitely one that story that does good in terms of story building, even if it does use Lord of the Rings as a very obvious inspiration.
Yeah.
I mean, the author does acknowledge it in their little author's notes at the end of this chapter, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For those unfamiliar, Lothlorien is basically just Galadriel of the woodland elves.
Yeah, I could definitely feel that. There's a reason I kept on saying fa la 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 fell.
Yes, just think deck the halls whenever you need to pronounce that name.
See, that's what I did at the beginning when I was introducing characters, and then you were just like, no, it's just Falaria. And I was just like, oh,
No, I
fine.
said Falalaria.
Because I said Falaloria, and you said Falaria, and I went, oh, okay.
I did not. I thought you said
Your
Falalaria.
your second syllable was getting a little swallowed by just how you're pronouncing it.
And I think that might be
I blame
kind of.
Elvish.
I was gonna say it wouldn't surprise me if that's kind of how it's supposed to possibly be kind of done. Um, just due to things with the Falalaria, and just kind of skip over that middle one slightly, like have it be there but not like super prevalent.
So Falalaria. Falalaria.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Pronounce it however the hell you
Eh.
want. We don't have the author here to tell us how it's supposed to be done. That's none of our faults.
But yeah, as I said, yeah. That said, it was getting harder to maintain that sort of posh English accent as I was the longer I read, and I kind of just gave up at points.
And you just sort of get used to maintaining an accent for hours and hours and hours on end.
I was going to say, how long did you and I go and act like we were from the Great Isle of Scotland?
It was for hours and hours, at least 6 or 7.
And then right after that, didn't I jump into a call with I think CMC, and then he was freaking out that I was talking all Scottish like or something.
I don't know,
Maybe.
I wasn't
I don't
familiar
Yeah,
with
know.
well,
that.
I don't do role playing games nearly as much as you do.
Yeah,
In fact,
I
I'm not
just
even in
know.
any groups right now, and I haven't been in a group for months.
Yeah, I just know that I could not hold a voice for Dash there, and I know that there was a line with worrying, and I kind of countered it. Worrying.
Well, I mean, for me, it was fairly easy to just switch into my switch into my southern when I needed to.
Yeah, well,
But
Rainbow
I'm
Dash Excited and Rainbow Dash Suspicious are kind of wildly different, and she did both of these in this. Yes!
blah 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 blah.
Well, for me to do Rainbow Dash Excited, it's more up and high and energetic. But when she's suspicious, it's a little bit lower, more into the gravelness.
What do you mean gravelly?
Exactly. And I could not hold it, and I can feel my throat being a little annoying right now. I should probably stop trying these voices and just go back to normal speak.
Well, it was either that or having to hold off reading for another 2 weeks to wait for another chance for Sora to come over.
Yeah, we got her done and everything. So
That said, I do believe the next chapter is going to have a very small cast of characters again. So
It happens.
yes, it is. It is what it will be. I was very glad for everything going on, and yes, so for some of us, I've got work in 45 minutes. So I'll be running off, well, actually 30 minutes because I can start 15 minutes early. Yay. But yes, currently Commander and Skyrays are considering some options. I don't know if there is a plan for an after party tonight. It might be a short one. But yes. But come around next week, where hopefully we will be doing another Divinity night, and then after that, hopefully another reading night. So yes, I hope that you all had fun and all that good jazz. And yes, so shout outs. So we'll start out with shout outs for Double R.
me?
Yes.
How about shoutouts to? It's not delivery. It's DiGiorno.
You know, it's really funny. I delivered a DiGiorno pizza through DoorDash from Walgreens the other day.
What? But they would still have to cook it.
So it was delivery. And speaking of delivery people, Ocean, shoutouts.
Oh, okay. I mean, I haven't done delivery in a while, but anyway,
It
I
just
don't
popped in my
know.
head.
I'm shout out to my paycheck coming in early, so now I could go get groceries and pay all my bills.
Yay for money and nay for needed.
Adulting.
Yeah, for adulting.
Yeah, I was a little behind on the electric bill. I had to pay that. Anyway, I'm
I
good.
know that feeling. I now only have one bill over my head. Yay. So,
As of right now, I technically have two, but I'm going to rectify one of them tonight. So
uh,
I just have to go to the store.
yeah. So,
Later.
alrighty. And next up, shoutouts for Razzle.
Shoutouts to my piano that I have not been playing as much as I should be.
If you don't want it anymore, I can take it off your hands.
Fuck no.
Worth a try.
It looks. As you're saying that, I look over at the Luna guitar that is glaring at me in the face. Yes. And next, on to shoutouts for CMC.
Fires, explosions, Mufasa, venison jerky, LOE, Roan. I don't know. I feel a little exhausted.
Alrighty. Well, thank you all for showing up. My shoutouts go to all y'all out there that are enjoying watching these silly little readings. So, yes, I hope that y'all had fun. And yes. So, anyways, without further ado, I think it's time for everybody to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Laters.
Thank you all for showing up. It's been fun. This is Winchester 572 going 10-7.